How's it going on this glorious Wednesday? That's right, on this glorious Wednesday. I say it's glorious because we have a victory here in Texas. We have a victory here in Texas when it's dealing with the border. I have a feeling there's going to be more victories, but who knows what the Supreme Court is going to rule. What am I talking about? As you can see from the title, Texas floating barrier between U.S. and Mexico can stay for now. Court rules in reverse. So, Federal Appeals Court reverses an order for Texas to move a floating barrier on the Rio Grande, causing tensions with Mexico. Well, you know, if Mexico was doing their part, they wouldn't have tensions. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals vacates the ruling on the buoys after a majority of the judges voted to rehear the case. Texas installed a series of linked buoys on the border with Mexico, becoming a focal point of legal disputes between Biden and Texas Governor Abbott. That was the left's version. Let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. Pretty much the same thing. The Biden administration is also fighting for the right to cut razor wire fencing at the border and for the access to the city park that the state fenced off. I went over that yesterday. On December, the Fifth U.S. Court of Appeals sided with federal judges in Texas who says that the buoys must be moved, but the court vacated the ruling and will rehear the case. Hear. Not really a whole lot of cover on this. Is this highly factual? Highly factual. The Winnipeg Free Press. It's from the AP. Block. I don't want you. Texas floating barrier between the U.S. and Mexico can stay for now by the Associated Press. Posted on 1:11 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday, January the 17th, 2024. Last modified at 3:13 p.m. Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. New Orleans, AP. Man, this is a really short story. Federal appeal courts on Wednesday reversed the order and required Texas to move the floating barrier on the Rio Grande that drew backlash from Mexico, delays development, and legal battles between the Biden administration and Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott over control of migrant border. On December, the divided panel of the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals had sided with federal judges in Texas who said the buoys must be moved. On Wednesday, the court vacated the panel 2-1 ruling at the majority of its 17 active judges voted to rehear the case. The series of linked concentrated buoys stretch roughly the length of 3 soccer fields. The state installed them along the international border with Mexico between the Texas border, city of Eagle Pass, and Paredes Navajas, Coahuila. The barrier is one of the focal points of the legal dispute over the Biden control between Democratic President Joe Biden and Abbott. The Biden administration is also fighting for the right to cut razor wire fencing at the border and for access to the city park at the border. The state fenced off because the federal government was just letting migrants in, or illegal migrants in. See here, mixed factuals. What's the San Antonio Express News? That's the same one. That's the same story. It's just an aggregated. That's fine. I mean, here more articles, Associated Press. Is this pretty much the same thing? It's pretty much the same thing. But let's say it's a glorious day because Biden kind of took an L temporarily. I mean, I have a feeling that this is going to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court may rule in favor of Biden because the border falls under the federal powers to be, or it may be clawing away at the federal government's authority and the states can now enforce their own border patrol policies. It's to be determined at this point. I do understand that there's several cases, especially under Obama through Arizona, where Arizona took a big L. The federal government was granted sole authority over the border with that ruling. At least that's how some are interpreting it. But my question still stands. What should any state that borders Mexico should be doing when the federal government is failing to uphold the law of the land when it comes to immigration? No one's been able to answer that question for me, so I would like to know an answer. What should the state of Texas be doing? Should the state of Texas just deal with it? Just house all these people, become economically bankrupt, and rely more on federal bailouts? Or should we make a stand and hopefully fix this? It's a question. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't have the answers. I'm just asking questions. With that being said, if you have answers to my questions, leave an answer down below in the comment sections. But most importantly, have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.